Hey there everybody, Johnny T here, and today we're going to put a new battery in this woman's Victorinox watch. You can tell that this watch is pretty small. It's really not that much larger than the diameter of a quarter there, so this is a watch for a smaller wrist for sure, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a bunch of nice features going on. These little tag heuer watches are pretty amazing. Even the women's versions are quite nice. We do see that it says Swiss made down at the 6 o'clock. Got Mercedes hands, Lollipop seconds hand, Broadsword hours hand. Sorry, Lollipop seconds hand, Broadsword minutes hand, Mercedes hours hand. Is that what I said? Anyways. It's got a pretty nice rotating bezel here. It's unidirectional, which is quite nice. Most of these tag heuer dive watches will have this at a minimum. This one's got a screw down crown, which is quite nice. I have definitely seen some of these 200-meter Victorinox, tag heuer watches without these screw down crowns, so that's always a nice little addition. I've already kind of gone through and I've quick changed the date and made sure the date changes at 12 o'clock. Both of those things check out. The indices are loomed, as are the hands. It's got kind of a military style indices there, which is pretty cool. It's got a little ring on the outside that's barely visible in my honest opinion. It's really hard to see that. I highly doubt you're going to be able to use these little indices at the very edge. They're so small. Yeah, we do have a signed crown, which I think most Victorinox, or I keep saying Victorinox, tag heuer watches are going to have signed crowns. Standard case size. It's got a nice bracelet. It's got this really cool clasp. It does have a dive extension here, and yeah, it's just overall a pretty cool little watch. For somebody with a smaller wrist, you would love to have one. And here's a bit of the case back. This is a model WM1311. It's 200 meters water resistance, stainless steel. It's supposed to have a sapphire crystal. I don't know what's going on though, because this watch has a big old scratch on it. On the crystal, you can see right there. It's got a couple of them. Sapphire is not supposed to scratch against anything but other sapphire and diamond, really. I think it's like a 9 out of was it the Mohs hardness scale or whatever? 9 out of 10, diamonds being a 10. So sapphire scratching like that might be the anti-reflective coating. I mean, this does seem to be anti-reflective, so it could just be the coating got scratched up there, but nonetheless, it's not a good thing to see on a watch that's supposed to have a sapphire crystal. I don't think this watch is fake. All the markings make sense. All the kind of markings on the hollow end links make sense. The case back makes sense. Even the clasp has all of these markings typical with a tag heuer watch. So I'm not too worried about it. We'll see though. I really don't like seeing scratches on my sapphire, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this bracelet in half here. Should give us a better look at that case back now. Seems to have a big old scratch right here even. So yeah, you know, this watch has been used. Somebody wore it. We're going to go ahead and try and get this case back off now. I think I'm going to just use a vise. That seems to be probably the best thing I can use in this particular scenario. So I'm going to really lock it in, let the bracelet kind of hang. Oop. Oh, we don't want the bracelet getting caught like that. Let's move it up like so. There we go. Now we really got the case down. Okay. So now that the case is nice and clamped down, this isn't going anywhere. So we'll just grab our case removing tool. I like to use the rectangular pegs on this. I don't use a third peg in the bottom because I just don't really see the point. If I really need that much extra torque, I will use my professional machine. Well, it's not really a machine, but okay, so got it nice and tight. Let's see if we can't get this case back off. Oh yeah, easy. Easy, easy. Usually when you start taking the case back off an old watch like this that's been worn, you can see a bunch of debris coming out of the seam. That's totally normal in a watch that's been loved. So far so good. Let's move my camera away a little bit so I don't smack it. Not being as careful as I could be with this. Obviously this case back has been scratched up in other ways, so that's a legit movement. I'm going to take a brush and I'm just going to off camera I'm going to brush up the threads of this case back just to kind of clean it up because there is a bunch of debris in there, just so that it goes back on smoothly. And then I'm also going to clean out, so there's a bunch of debris and stuff in the notches where the case back opener is supposed to go. It's usually dead skin cells, sweat, soap, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just clean that up. And there we go. We now have the case back off. And yeah, it's pretty neat. It's got some information in there. I don't know. I'm not sure if that means it was changed in 2014 or what, but that's a lot of fours. Very cool. I'm going to get my rocket blower, blow that case back out. And this is the movement you want to see when you're working on one of these watches. I'm going to take it out of here. So what we have here is I think they call it a tag heuer caliber 4.98, but it is definitely some kind of an ETA movement. The markings are over here by the I think that's the crystal. Can't really see it though, so I'm gonna go grab one of my loops. I should be able to read this off to everybody in a second momentarily. I think I'm going to grab my 10x loop because it's quite small, and I think usually just use a Bosch and Loam. This one in particular is the 10x triplet. Excuse me. And the nice thing about triplets is it doesn't distort what you're looking at once you get it close to your eye. So it's one of the reasons for going with the triplet. Okay, so we're looking at 956112. ETA 956112 is the movement. It's got tag heuer 4.98 on there. It's a 7 joule movement. Beautiful. Very good. I think every tag heuer woman's watch I've ever worked on that's quartz has had this movement. So now that I think about it. Okay, we're going to want to pull the gasket off. I'm going to use a little pick for this. It's pretty recessed in here though. You don't want to damage it, but it's really not wanting to come out. I think I'm going to try using my brass tweezers. They're a bit... They have a finer point. I grabbed the wrong pick tool. The problem with using dental picks is they're a very hard steel. And they will scratch everything you use them on, unfortunately. There we go. Okay, so this gasket, so it looks like it's got some grease on there. This gasket is still pretty it's still pretty soft and still moves around quite a bit. I think it's not really too hard, too brittle. It's nice and shiny. It does look like it has some gasket grease on there, some old gasket grease. I think I'm going to reuse this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I usually just throw them in my little gasket greaser. They call this a silicone sealant. And I'll just twist it up. Make sure this gets distributed evenly. Open it up. And I like to flip it. Now I have to clean off my brass tweezers afterwards. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to go grab a pair of plastic tweezers and my batteries because I forgot to do that. Let's see. I always forget tools, like every time. I always grab everything I think I need, and I always need more. It's one of the reasons why I wish I had like a dedicated space for this kind of stuff, so I could just leave everything out. I wouldn't have to put it away, but I live in a pretty small apartment, so everything I do is kind of in one room, and I have a lot of hobbies, including photography, videography, yeah, so on and so forth. Anyways, this gasket's ready to go, but I'm not going to install it until I'm done with the battery. So there's a little like cap that the battery has that kind of pushes the entire battery in place when you put the case back on. So I'm just going to set that aside. Some people will use the case back as kind of a parts dish. And you know what? I might as well do that. Why not? I'll just throw this part in the parts dish right here. And then I'm going to use my brass tweezers to remove this battery. It's probably depleted. I don't really care. You don't want to use any kind of metal tweezers. You don't want to use metal tweezers on a fresh battery for installation. Okay, so that all looks pretty good. I'm not seeing any corrosion. It's nice and shiny. It's all the same color, etc. So it's probably fine. This is a Renata 377. I'm sure that's what that is. And I will go ahead and pull the 377 from my battery stock. With these, so usually there's a couple of ways you could do this. If they have the cutout in the back, you usually kind of like popping a pill. I like to just kind of push them out like that. But whatever works for you. Okay, so the way the battery wants to go back in is probably I want to insert it going against the spring tab here on the side. This seems to be the best way to install a battery in my mind. We all kind of have our own methods, I'd imagine, but this one makes the most sense for me. And that seems to be in. Go ahead and grab our little crown. Little battery crown. Put that in. Very good. Now I'm going to install my gasket. And my gasket's all greased up. You can see the grease on there. That should be sufficient. This Historically, I've kind of overdone it with the gasket grease because I didn't know what I was doing, let's be honest. I've gotten better at it at that though, so now we're giving our gaskets what seems to me to be just about right, but who knows. And I accidentally got some gasket grease on the watch. I need to go grab a Q-tip. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'll be right back. 1 second. Yeah, these are in the bathroom, so I don't have any over here at the moment. I should. I probably shouldn't use a Q-tip for this, but I'm gonna do that anyways. But I got some of this gasket grease on the movement holder, and we don't want that, so that cleaned up pretty alright. Okay. All that's left to do is to gently blow any debris that might still be in there that could cause issues, get caught in moving parts, make its way on the watch dial. And I'm gonna blow out the inside of the case back one last time, just to kind of make sure that's all good to go. And now I will install my case back. This should be easy enough. It's going on really nice now. It's not scratchy, and with all that gasket grease on there, it's just a pleasure to put back on. Cool. I'm gonna hit this with my ball now, and that should be good enough. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and put our bracelet back on. Our dive clasp, I'm gonna put it on the last notch. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I'm gonna clean the clean up the inside of this clasp, as this is really difficult to get to. Let's see. Cool. I got a bunch of gunk on my nice little watch pad. Whoops. Oh well. Okay, and I'm just going to, I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm just going to grab my brush. I'm going to brush all this debris out really quick, and that looks pretty good. Alright, we're good to go now. Okay. So, we are now going to install our spring bar into the clasp here. I like to go this direction, I guess, if that makes any sense, and then just push it in and line it up, and now it's in. Cool. And the moment of truth. It's sticking. Ooh. Ah, man. That's beautiful. Yeah, these little tag hewers are awesome. Like, if I even though I don't have small, like, well, I mean my wrists. Well, okay, so here's what I'm wearing right now. I got a Movado on. This is a automatic Movado watch. Calendo Plane S. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's just a watch I've been wearing. I just kind of like it. It's kind of a dressy little dive watch, if you will. It's big though. so not really that dressy now, is it? But I want to say this is like 40. It's either 42 or 45 millimeter. And if we throw, if this watch will even, I mean, I'm sure I'll get it around my wrist. But if we put this Tag Heuer watch on the wrist, check this out. I know what everybody's thinking. It's too small for a man. Yeah. Oh, you know what? If I do the extension, yeah, here we go. I mean, it's small, let's be honest, but I think that's extremely cool, honestly. Like I like how much of a tool watch this is despite its small size. And the cool thing is it's still taking up about 1/3 of my wrist. And believe it or not, but that's kind of acceptable. Not by today's standards, I guess, but you know, a watch taking up only 1/3 of the wrist, this would be an extremely comfortable watch to wear despite its tool nature. Because it's so small. I'd prefer it to be a bit tighter. And usually with small watches like this, I would prefer to put it on a NATO. I like all my watches on a NATO, let's be honest. But I think that it's not too shabby. And you know, I've got 6.5-inch wrists, so you know, you figure like a 6 or 5.5-inch or 5-inch wrist, that would be an amazing watch to wear. It's also quartz, and the cool thing about quartz watches is you get a battery in it and you don't have to worry about it. That is a huge plus for a lot of people, believe it or not. But yeah, this is ticking merrily. It doesn't, seconds hand doesn't super line up, but well, there you go. This is an amazing watch. I would love to own it if I had a small wrist, but anyways, what is a watch like this worth? With this scratched crystal, so like this is legit. This is a legit Tag Heuer watch. So the fact that the crystal is this scratched, I'm scratching my head, because like the bezel's not that messed up is the craziest part. Like usually, like if you're doing something crazy to put a scratch on your crystal, usually the bezel's also going to be in horrible condition, but this bezel's actually not in bad condition. So that is probably one of the most puzzling things about this watch purchase, I think, is these scratches on the sapphire. Shouldn't have happened. I wonder, I don't know. If anybody has any ideas, let me know. It has to be the AR coating. Anyways, let's get dimensions. So it's 20 millimeters, yeah, pretty small. Well, we'll do this real quick. So the lug-to-lug is going to be 33.4, thickness is going to be about 9 millimeters, and then the lug width 15 millimeters. So this watch on the used market in good condition is a $400 watch, and I'm talking like, you know, has enough extra links for most wrists, which this one does. You can see that it's got actually plenty of its links. It might only be missing one of them, I'm not sure. And the watch face is not scratched, which this one is. So I don't know if I would call this one good condition, but it is running. It's fully functional, I believe. Yeah, this might, I mean, I would probably want to get 400-ish for this. I'd imagine if you have one in like near mint condition, it might be worth 500 plus, perhaps. But on average, I mean, oh, look at I didn't realize this, but the crown looks like it's also got some pretty decent gashes in it, and then of course the case back's got that big scratch on it too. All in all, I mean, it's a very used watch, but it's still like, I mean, from afar, that looks great. That looks amazing from a distance. Like, there's nothing wrong with this watch, honestly. I think it would wear. It still looks quite good. despite all its flaws. So, okay, well, anyways, that's all I've got for this. That is how you replace your battery and service the gasket in one of these little 28mm Tag Heuer dive watches. If you found this video interesting or entertaining, please like and subscribe. If I helped you fix your watch, definitely like and subscribe. I'd super appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and have a good night.